The Beach FM Business Lunch Show, brought to you by PlaceMakers Kapiti Horowhenua. Together we're building New Zealand.
Welcome back to the Business Lunch Show on Beach FM 106.3, and let's talk food now, and let's welcome into the show Scott McNeil from Awatoru Wildfood. G'day, Scott.
Hey mate, how are you?
I'm very good. How are you doing at this time, my friend?
Yeah, pretty good, travelling along. Most of our work's restaurant stuff, and they seem to be having a good little patch where we're getting some orders in. So, not faring too bad, thanks.
Awesome. Now, first thing we do on the show is we always get the story. How did you guys come about? I know yourself and Micah are a team there. So let's hear the story. How did you come about? Where did it all start for you guys?
Yeah, we moved up the Kapiti Coast 12 years ago, I think it was. I always had an interest in commercial fishing. My father was a fisherman through the 80s. I was always drawn to the idea of doing it. I wasn't that keen to go away and work on larger boats for set parts of time. I had young kids and wanted to be home in the evenings. And so we moved up here and bought a wee boat, about 5.5 metre boat that was probably made up more of bog than aluminium and set to it. Initially catching paddle crabs, just day fishing. So that's where it began.
Excellent, mate. So from the small boat, starting it out, fixing that up, where did you develop next? Where did it become a thing for you instead of just paddle crabs?
Well, yeah, initially we were catching paddle crab and just selling into a wholesaler, which was tough. It was 2 years of hard going for next to no money. The money was terrible, but I needed to throw myself at the idea of the commercial fishing lifestyle, because it's all encompassing. It completely takes over what you do. So from there we saw opportunity to supply restaurants, I guess, and that was our second. That's where we ended up in those realms. I mean, the rate the wholesaler would pay for at that point, it was paddle crabs I was doing pretty much only, really. They'd pay nothing for it, and they were, I don't know, I would think they'd be selling them for probably close to 3 times the price I was selling them to.
Wow.
And I knew potentially down the track that, there was something in it, but yeah, initially I just had to throw myself at it and get my head around it before I started chasing much better dollars, I suppose.
Yep. Now, let's talk equipment, mate. How have you had to adjust with, businesses, technology, payroll, et cetera, but you're out there with the land, getting the goods. So how have you adapted with your equipment and your technology and, your boat?
Well, I mean, initially the paddle crab was a pretty relatively simple, straightforward setup as far as the boat was concerned. You just have a davit with this, like a pulley, and I was pulling the lots by hand. I didn't have that mechanicalised. It was everything was done by hand.
Yeah.
So my gear represented that. My gear was slightly lighter and a bit more nimble.
Yeah.
In time we've got things a bit better. I've got a powered hauler now that pulls the pots up if I want, and we've sort of diversified with what we're catching, and we're pretty keen to catch things in a nice, clean manner. We're all about that. We don't want to be using any methods, fishing-wise, that could potentially harm creatures that we don't potentially want to catch.
Absolutely. Now, you've changed that up. And now, in regards to actually having a product out there, having your marketing, having your name against something, where'd the name come from, for one, and two, how has your marketing strategy been over the past couple of years? Has it been word of mouth? Has it been the good people around the place, or just Facebook? How have you taken that approach?
Well, the name initially, Three Rivers, and that was the name of our family farm.
Oh, right.
Well, it still is the name of the farm, and it just sort of fit when we started doing the crabs. We were fishing alongside Three Rivers, the Waimea Stream, the Waikanae River, and the Otaki River.
Nice.
So we carried it through with that, and yeah, so that fit. I guess our marketing, we were pretty green to everything initially. We started with restaurants, and to be honest, we still do use a lot of word of mouth. We don't really go in cold calling too much. We tend to find all the chefs know each other through working together or, having some sort of dealings. And if you're a good guy and you're doing a good job and you've got a good product, you sort of get shared around pretty smartly.
Absolutely.
Instagram's been huge for us. That's where the food scene's at, and that, well over and above Facebook for us. It's been massive.
Awesome.
It's so much more targeted, and we get a lot of business from that right around the country now.
What's now? Let's talk COVID now, Scott. I know it's been an average time for a lot of us, but a lot of us have had to adapt, pivot our business model, and just try new things. But when you go to level 4 and you're not allowed to go out on the waters, etc. How did COVID affect your business, mate? Heavily. The restaurants, we could see it coming quite early, I guess. Sort of friends of mine are cray fishermen on the Wairarapa coast, and we saw the cray price disappear for the Chinese New Year. Those guys really took a hiding, and we could see it all unfolding, I guess. The restaurants were, to me, they sort of got hung out to dry a bit. There was a good 3 weeks where they were really suffering, and they had to keep open sort of thing to keep running, and it was tough going. We saw our orders drop away completely. For me, for the fishing side of things, I'm commercial fishing, so I was a primary producer, so I was allowed to continue through the COVID patch. Yeah.
We chose not to. I sort of felt initially when the virus was prevalent in the country, I didn't really feel like being away from the house. I got a bit nesty and was quite happy just battening down the hatches and staying in, to be honest.
Yeah.
And we saw a few other things on social media where other non-commercial recreational fishermen had gone fishing, and man, they were persecuted online. And we just thought, because I've got a small vessel, although it is a commercial vessel, I don't think people would have distinguished that I was commercial. And I didn't really want to have someone guarding my tractor on the beach, or you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
So we decided, and being in the restaurant trade, a huge, probably 98% of my business had disappeared at that point. So we thought, no, we'll just leave it for a bit.
So with that time taking hitting the reset button, like a lot of us did, and at first it was a bit overwhelming, but then it was the stop that we needed to reset. How did you come up with any new creative ideas for the business? Did you pivot at all and changing the way or what you were putting out to keep going forward? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, we've as far as the fishing goes, that part of the business, we probably missed a week or so of fishing at the start of the COVID lockdown period. So now we've the tuna's finished now, and now we sort of concentrate a little bit more on the venison, and we've changed it up to adapt. We're doing a home delivery now of half of wild venison. It's about 14 kilos for a pack.
Nice.
So we've stepped into the realms of home delivery. We're not sure about the fish side of things yet. It's quite complicated, and people are only going to want smaller orders. So initially we've started with the wild venison. We've dabbled in that. We're doing that weekly. We'll start growing that, I think. We're going to start adding products eventually.
Okay.
But it's a little sort of one step at a time at the moment, to be honest.
Absolutely. Were you guys looked after with different schemes and different funds from government? So, are you going to get through this okay?
Yeah, we're heavily dependent on the restaurant trade, and I think they've obviously got some hard times ahead.
Yeah.
I think, I'm not certain, but potentially the more the inner city restaurants, I think, potentially will have a harder time than the urban outskirts of the restaurants.
Yeah.
Is what maybe we're seeing at the moment. We were covered with we claimed the wage subsidy. We had to do that.
Yeah.
That was enough for us. We lived pretty frugally. It was enough for us to get by. Being locked up at home, we're not spending any money anyway.
Yeah.
We had quite a lot of stock. Prior to the COVID thing that we'd normally move through that was sitting frozen.
Right.
Of various products. A lot of the restaurants have been really accommodating with that, and that they've taken frozen ahead of fresh, particularly in the venison side of things, which has been great. You sort of, it's neat some of the support we've got in turn. Like we've given them different deals on the venison than we normally would, so long as they were willing to help us out by clearing a bit of frozen stock.
Yeah, nice.
And you certainly notice guys that you've worked with for a long time. It gets to a point where it's a little bit more than just a business transaction. You look after each other, and you do your best by them, and they do their best by you.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Scott, what to next, mate? Where to from here for you guys?
Oh, we'll just keep plugging on. I still, I'll keep. Not yet. The bulk of my fishing is through summer at the moment. For the last 2 years, I've taken it a bit more easy through winter as far as the fishing's concerned. We're still, to be honest, probably at the mercy of the restaurants as far as how they plug on and how things pan out for them.
Yeah.
We're certainly going to keep working at the home delivery stuff, and we've had a good response with the venison home delivery packs already, and we'll keep pushing with that and exploring new avenues as to how we advertise that and get that across to the general public. I think we'll be all right. Everyone knows it's going to be a hard year or maybe 18 months. We've got a pretty small footprint, I suppose, and we're pretty nimble and small company, so I think one way or another we'll find a way through everything. People have got to eat still.
Too true.
Just getting that food to people, I suppose. That might have to change how we go about that.
Yeah. Well, lastly, mate, where can people find you? How can they get in touch?
We got a pretty strong Instagram game. We're on Facebook too. The website's awatoruwildfood.co.nz, and we're just getting that together for the home delivery orders side of things, but people can make contact there. There's a phone number on there too. If you want to talk to us, we're always around.
They do answer, I promise.
Yeah, we do.
Excellent, mate. I really appreciate your time today. Go well, my friend. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll keep plugging, and I'll come and taste the goods real soon.
Oh, fantastic, mate! Thank you very much for the opportunity, and hope everyone goes well out there. She's all good. Just keep on trucking.